Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Welcome everyone to the fifth lecture of the third week of our NPTEL course titled Modernization and Creative Communication. Today we'll be delving into an insightful study called The New Space of Homo Digitals, Questioning Humans in the Digital Age by Augustus Dacian and Ari Prananta. This lecture focuses on how modernization, largely driven by digitalization, has redefined human existence and reshaped communication in profound ways. In particular, we will explore the rise of what the authors called Homo Digitalis and the creation of a new digital space that shapes much of how we communicate today. The core themes in this study are highly relevant to our course on modernization and creative communication because they invite us to think critically about how technological advancement have fundamentally altered not just the mechanics of communication, but the very nature of human identity and interaction. Let us begin by understanding the theoretical background and main arguments of the study, moving through each slide and discussing its relevance to our ongoing exploration of these topics. As I said, in today's session, we'll discuss the study titled The New Space of Homo Digitalis, Questioning Humans in the Digital Age. As you can tell from the title, the study focuses on two core ideas. First, the concept of Homo Digitalis, which refers to humans whose identities are now inseparable from digital technology. Second, the idea of a new space, a digital realm created by modernization, which is distinct from physical reality, yet deeply influential in shaping how we live and communicate. What makes this topic particularly compelling is its relevance to modernization and creative communication. We are not just talking about how technology helps us communicate more easily, but about how it transforms the very way we perceive ourselves and the world. The shift is key to understanding the nature of creative communication today, especially in a world where digital technology mediates almost all interactions. Throughout this lecture, think about how these ideas apply to the ways in which we communicate and exist in a modern digital world. To start, let's discuss the two main theses of the paper. First, modernization, particularly through the lens of digitalization, has created a new kind of human being called Homo Digitalis. Unlike Homo sapiens, who were defined by their intellectual and physical engagement with the world, Homo Digitalis exists within and through digital technologies. These humans are deeply integrated into the digital sphere, where their identities are shaped and sustained by their interactions with digital platforms and devices. Second, modernization has not only created a new type of human, but also a new type of space. The space is virtual, yet it's considered real because it governs much of human experience today. In the past, our understanding of space was limited to the physical realm, our homes, our workplaces, our streets. But today, the digital space is where much of our interaction, creativity, and communication takes place. What is interesting here is the idea that the new space is not free. It is regulated by algorithms that control how we interact, how we see the world, and even how we think. Thus, modernization has fundamentally transformed both human existence and the space in which that existence unfolds. The idea of Homo Digitalis then is central to understanding how modernization has reshaped human identity. The authors argue that with the advent of digital technology, humans are no longer purely biological or intellectual beings. Instead, they are digital entities whose existence is heavily dependent on their engagement with technology. For example, think how many of us start and end our day by interacting with our phones. We check, message, browse the web, and engage with social media platforms. These daily actions, according to the authors, reflect the shift from Descartes' famous statement, "I think, therefore I am," to the more modern notion of "I browse, therefore I exist." In this new digital world, creative communication has also been redefined. It's no longer about expressing ideas through face-to-face interactions or even written text. Instead, creative communication today often involves navigating the digital world through posts, likes, shares, and clicks. Modernization has enabled a form of communication where people present curated versions of themselves through digital platforms, using technology not only as a medium but also as an extension of their identity. The shift is crucial for our understanding of modernization because it reflects how digitalization has created new ways for humans to exist and communicate creatively. Our identities are no longer tied solely to our physical bodies or personal interactions, but to the digital footprint we leave behind in cyberspace. With modernization, we have seen the emergence of what the authors call a digital society. This transformation has been gradual but has accelerated over the last decade, particularly with the rise of smartphones, the internet, and the social media platforms. Today, nearly every aspect of our lives, work, relationships, education, entertainment, is mediated by digital devices. This new digital society is characterized by a continuous connection to the internet where we are always plugged in. Let's think about the implications of this. In a digital society, we no longer need to be physically present to communicate or interact. Modernization has made it possible for us to have entire conversation, relationships, and even business through digital platforms. This is a significant departure from the past when communication was bound by physical presence and geographical limitations. In this digital society, creative communication has become faster, more accessible, and more efficient. For instance, social media allows people to share ideas, art, and personal experiences with a global audience instantly. However, the downside is that communication has become more fragmented and less personal. Modernization, while facilitating more frequent interactions, often reduces the depth and quality of those interactions. Our challenge today is finding ways to engage in creative communication that is meaningful and authentic, despite the constraints of a digital society. One of the most profound impacts of modernization is how it has changed our understanding of space. Traditionally, space was a physical concept. It referred to the places we inhabit, our homes, offices, streets, and public areas. But with the rise of the digital technology, we have entered a new kind of space, one that is not physical but virtual. In this new space, known as the digital space, interactions happen not face to face but through screens and devices. For example, a conversation between two people in different countries can take place in real time via video calls. This concept is known as telepresence, where individuals are present in the conversation but physically absent from each other. What is crucial here is that the space is not free. It is governed by algorithms, the hidden codes that dictate what we see, how we interact, and what content is presented to us. This has important implications for creative communication. In the physical world, communication is spontaneous and less regulated. But in the digital space, our interactions are shaped by platforms we see, and those platforms often prioritize certain types of communication over others. For instance, algorithms may promote content that is more engaging or controversial because it drives traffic, while more nuanced and thoughtful content might be suppressed. This modernization has created a new space for communication, but it has also imposed new limitations on how we communicate creatively. Understanding this dynamic is key to navigating the digital world in a way that preserves the authenticity and richness of human interactions. As with any significant change brought by modernization, the rise of digital technology has its proponents and critics. On the optimistic side, many argue that digital technology has revolutionized creative communication. It allows people to connect with others from all over the world, share their ideas and work, and collaborate in ways that were previously unimaginable. Modernization has facilitated new forms of community participation and creativity. For instance, platforms like YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok allow users to express themselves creatively through videos, images, and other media. These platforms have democratized creativity, giving everyone with a smartphone the ability to be a creator. Moreover, digital technology has enabled movements like networked activism, where individuals use social media to raise awareness and drive change on social and political issues. However, on the pessimistic side, there are significant concerns about how digital technology affects human interaction and creativity. Critics argue that modernization has led to a kind of digital dehumanization. In this view, digital technology doesn't enhance communication but rather diminishes it. Creative communication becomes superficial, driven by need for likes, shares, and followers, rather than genuine self expression or meaningful connection. Furthermore, The rise of surveillance technology and algorithmic control raises concerns about privacy and autonomy. In a world where our actions and thoughts are monitored and influenced by digital platforms, we are truly free to communicate creatively. The dual perspective is essential for understanding how modernization impacts creative communication. While digital technology offers new opportunities, it also presents new challenges that we must navigate carefully. The emergence of Homo Digitalis represents a fundamental shift in how we understand human existence. Traditionally, humans were seen as autonomous beings capable of independent thought and action. But with modernization, this understanding has changed. Today, humans are increasingly seen as digital entities whose existence is mediated by technology. In this digital era, creative communication is no longer about direct human to human interaction. Instead, it's about how we interact through digital platforms. The shift has significant implications for anthropology and ontology, the study of what it means to be human. Modernization has blurred the line between the human and the machine. We are not just users of technology, we are part of it. Our communication is shaped by the platforms we use, and in many ways, we have become extensions of these platforms. For example, when we use social media to communicate, we are not just expressing ourselves, we are also engaging with the algorithms that control what we see and how we interact. Our identity is shaped by how we present ourselves online, and our interactions are influenced by the structure of the digital platforms we use. This raises important questions about the nature of creative communication in the digital age. Are we truly expressing ourselves, or are we simply following the patterns set by algorithms that control our digital lives? In this section, the authors explore how modernization has fundamentally changed the way we exist in the world. Drawing from Heidegger's concept of Dasein, which means being in the world, they argue that in the digital age, human exists not in the physical world, but in the World Wide Web. We are no longer just in the world, we are in the web. The shift has profound implications for creative communication. In the past, communication was a physical act. It happened in person through spoken words or written text. But today, communication happens in digital space. We engage with others through platforms like YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook, where much of our creative communication takes place. For example, when students are asked a question, their first instinct is often to Google the answer. This reflects how deeply modernization has integrated technology into our thought processes. Rather than reflecting deeply on a question, we turn to the internet for quick answers. This has transformed how we communicate and how we engage with the world. In many ways, we are no longer independent thinkers, but part of a larger digital system. With the rise of modernization and digital technology, humans have become algorithmic subjects. This means that our action, behaviors, and even thoughts are increasingly controlled by algorithms. When we use digital platforms, algorithms decide what content we see, who we interact with, and how we communicate. This has significant implications for creative communication. In the past, communication was largely free and spontaneous, but today our interactions are shaped by the algorithms that control the digital platforms we use. For example, social media platforms like Facebook and Instagram, use algorithms to decide what posts appear in our feeds. These algorithms prioritize content that is engaging, often controversial or emotionally charged, because it generates more traffic. As a result, our communication becomes less about genuine expression and more about following the patterns set by these algorithms. This raises important questions about the nature of creativity in the digital age. Are we truly free to communicate creatively, or are we simply following the paths laid out for us by the platforms we use? One of the consequences of modernization is the emotional disconnection that occurs in the digital world. While digital technology allows us to communicate more easily, it often strips away the emotional depth that is essential to meaningful communication. For example, think about how we express emotions through social media. We might send a heart emoji to show love or a sad face emoji to express sympathy. But these digital symbols often lack the emotional nuance and authenticity of face-to-face communication. Creative communication in the digital world becomes shallow, focused more on symbols and engagement metrics rather than on genuine emotional connection. The emotional disconnection is a byproduct of modernization. As we rely more on digital platforms to communicate, we lose some of the depth and richness that comes with in person interaction. In many ways, our creative communication has become more about performance, about presenting ourselves in a certain way to gain likes, shares, and follows, rather than about authentic emotional expression. Modernization has created a new space for communication, one that is based on what we call simulacra, the replacement of reality with symbols. In this new space, text, images, and videos are considered reality, even though they are often far removed from the actual events they represent. The new space is where much of creative communication takes place in the digital age. We create content, share symbols, and interact with representations of reality rather than with reality itself. For example, when we watch a video on social media, we are often engaging with a carefully curated version of reality, one that is designed to generate engagement and clicks. The shift has profound implications for human communication. In the past, communication was concerned with the actual events behind a message or image. But today, we focus more on how the symbols are presented and consumed. Creative communication in this new space becomes about manipulating symbols to achieve a certain effect rather than about conveying a genuine message. Here we explore how modernization through digital capitalism has transformed education. Today, many educational institutions rely on digital platforms like Zoom and Google Meet to facilitate learning and communication. While these tools make education more accessible, they also have some drawbacks. One of the key concerns is that these platforms often simplify the process of creative communication. Rather than fostering deep, meaningful discussions, they encourage quick exchanges of information. Students and educators are more likely to rely on digital tools to provide answers rather than engaging in critical thinking or debate. The shift reflects a broader trend in modernization where efficiency and convenience often take precedence over depth and authenticity. While digital platforms allow for faster communication, they also reduce the richness of human interaction. In many ways, modernization has streamlined education, but at the cost of losing some of the critical thinking and creativity that are essential to academic discourse. Here, the authors introduce the concept of Deus ex machina, where modernization has led people to view technology, particularly artificial intelligence, as a kind of savior for all human challenges. There is a growing belief that AI and algorithms can solve everything from communication problems to complex social issues. However, this over-reliance on technology has important implications for creative communication. While AI can facilitate communication in many ways, it also risks reducing human interaction to a set of algorithms. In this scenario, creative communication becomes less about genuine human expression and more about following the patterns set by technology we use. For example, think about how many of our interactions on social media are guided by algorithms. We are often encouraged to post content that will generate the most likes or shares rather than content that genuinely reflects who we are. This raises important questions about the role of technology in modern communication. Are we relying too much on technology to define how we communicate? And if so, what are the consequences for creativity and authenticity? In conclusions, the authors summarize the main thesis. Modernization has given rise to Homo Digitalis, a new form of human existence that is deeply integrated into the digital world. This shift has also created a new digital space where much of human interaction and creative communication now takes place. This new space is not free. It is governed by algorithms and digital systems that control how we communicate and interact. In many ways, humans are no longer just users of technology, they are part of the digital systems that shape their existence. As we move forward, we must think critically about the role of modernization in shaping communication. While digital technology offers many opportunities for creativity and connection, it also presents new challenges that we must navigate carefully. As we wrap up this lecture, I want to leave you with some reflective questions. How has modernization shaped our understanding of creative communication? Are we aware of how much control technology exerts over our lives? Can we maintain creative autonomy in a world increasingly governed by algorithms and digital platforms? These are the questions we need to consider as we continue to explore the impact of modernization on communication. As you think about these questions, consider how you engage with technology in your own life and how it shapes the way you communicate and express yourself. That concludes today's lecture. I hope this discussion has given you a deeper understanding of how modernization has transformed human existence and communication in the digital age. As always, feel free to bring your thoughts and questions to our next session. I look forward to hearing your reflections on today's topic. Thank you.